In Jalisco, the water is also filled with energy, but now with clean energy. The State Water Commission is modernizing treatment plants with solar panels, so they operate using the sun instead of conventional energy. This helps lower costs, protect the planet, and reduce the carbon footprint. There are already plants in Lagos de Moreno, Arandas, and El Grullo that operate this way, saving energy and working more sustainably. And the goal is for all the plants in the state to gradually join this energy conversion. Because in Jalisco, taking care of water also means taking care of the future.
We continue here at Habitat Territory in Evolution, and now I am in a very beautiful place. In fact, I am here at the State Water Commission talking with Alejandra Ayo. She is the Deputy Director of Environmental Programs and Human Rights Organizations Liaison. Welcome, Alejandra.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, and especially to talk about this important topic.
Very important. In fact, I want to start by asking you about the Santiago River. There's a lot of talk about the Santiago River, but I want us to start with the basics. For example, what are its characteristics?
Well, the Santiago River is part of the second largest hydrological system in the country. The first is the Rio Bravo, the one we share with the United States. The second is what we call the Lerma Chapala Santiago. The Lerma River originates from the Nevado de Toluca in the state of Mexico, and from there it crosses Querétaro, crosses Michoacán, and eventually flows into Lake Chapala. After the Chapala Lake, from there the Santiago River is born. It originates in Ocotlan, and in its first kilometers it intersects with another river, which is the Sula River. It is a very large river from here, from the Altos de Jalisco, that originates in Atotonilco and Arandas in the Los Altos region and crosses 475 kilometers, passes the metropolitan area, passes Nayarit, and eventually flows into the Pacific Ocean. It is a very large basin. It is a basin of, the entire system of around 123,000 square kilometers with an approximate population of 23 million people.
It's crazy. And so I think that makes it a bit more complex to take care of this basin, right? So I ask you, what is the main strategy that the State Water Commission is proposing to take care of this river?
Well, as we were saying, it's a very large basin. It's a basin where many people live, and it's also a basin with large cities, big industries, and a lot of production. And well, as a result of that, a comprehensive policy is required. That is, to be able to restore the river, we need to view the river from different angles, from health, from the culture of water, from the environment, from respecting the legislation, and in particular, the Water Commission views it from the hydraulic and hydrological perspective. So, while the strategy is much broader than that of the State Water Commission, the Commission focuses mainly on the treatment of domestic wastewater, which is what we produce in our homes, on being able to monitor the river, that is, measure how the water quality is throughout its course to know how it evolves over time. Another very important strategy of the State Water Commission is the control of aquatic weeds. We have all seen water hyacinth reyes, right, entheised in some body of water. The water hyacinth is an invasive species, an introduced species, and part of its control and management is important for the river to have the oxygen it needs to sustain life.
Because it blocks the light then.
It blocks the light. Also, it generates organic matter when it disintegrates. Also, let's say it absorbs the oxygen, competes, right, for the oxygen. And, it can also cause blockages. In short, it's a problem since it is not, let's say, native to here, right? It has predators. So that's why control is necessary. Currently, the State Water Commission is promoting the sanitation of the metropolitan area of Guadalajara, mainly in the east, through the sanitation of Rio Blanco, which is over there by Cañadas, the Cola de Caballo. Also the part of San Andres, Osorio, San Gaspar, which is near the zoo, more in the ravine, and also the part of Tonala. So right now the commission is focusing on that because recently the treatment plant in El Salto was remodeled. So now we are moving to the next step, which is the metropolitan area.
I was just going to ask you about the treatment plants. I would ask you to explain it in simple terms so we can all understand. I recently heard that they are looking for this energy conversion in the treatment plants, como says, but I think many of us don't really know what they are for.
Thank you very much for the question. Treatment plants, let us do what nature does naturally, but in an accelerated way. That is to say, when a river flows, it cleans itself. In a way, it purifies, right? What happens? Well, it gets oxygenated through the stones, through its path, its journey. The microbes consume the organic matter. So a treatment plant does the same, only in an accelerated manner. A biological treatment is used for the organic matter. Oxygen is added among other different treatments. Because what the plant does is accelerate it, right? And for that, energy is needed. So the energy cost of operating a treatment plant to do what a river does naturally, but much faster and with much more water, requires very large amounts of energy. Traditionally, then treatment plants, more than 40% in a normal plant of the associated expenses were to pay for electricity, right?
Wow.
So that was a problem we faced, and the way we want to mitigate it is through the generation of clean energy, right? Which in turn also helps us mitigate climate change by emitting fewer greenhouse gases. So in some plants, solar panels are being installed to generate their own energy, and in others, with the same wastewater, methane gas from its decomposition is utilized, stored, and energy is produced.
Let's go. And in fact, well, it seems to me that what you're saying shows that they bring a focus on technology, not on innovating and on helping the river from there, but also from public policies. No, the CIA is involved in this, in fighting for public policies that regulate these issues.
Yes, definitely. This is a long-term project. The recovery of a river takes many years and requires a constant and sustained public policy over time. In that sense, the State Water Commission is participating together with the World Bank. We are currently working on some studies with their consultants precisely on the issue of treatment plants to create financially sustainable schemes, so that they are not only built and left there, but also beneficial for us to operate them.
In fact, that's where it's going. My next question is, what cooperation mechanisms are you seeking or exploring to achieve that? Well, these efforts are maintained over the years, right? Because you mentioned it's a basin that crosses many states, so I imagine they have to seek cooperation with the federal government, with neighboring states, with the World Bank, you already said.
Totally, and I think part of this cooperation also comes from those of us who live in the basin, those of us who inhabit the basin, those of us who study the basin, not the regional universities here, as they have done a lot of research to be able to restore the river. That research is important, and it's important that it is being generated and shared not only with decision makers but also with citizens, so that we can evolve. These strategies are not fixed over time. They change, they improve. And international cooperation is important, but the relationship with the municipalities and the federal government is also important. All levels of government have certain powers that allow them to help with the river's recovery, and in that sense, we also work together with the federal government through Semarnat and the National Water Commission to develop a long-term restoration strategy. Mainly, we help them a lot in the technical part, in generating projects, engineering, collectors, everything related to treatment plants, the monitoring we already mentioned, all of that we do together with the federal government.
Y por ejemplo, justo con el gobierno federal, Leí hace unas cuantas semanas que vinieron aquí personas de la Semarnat a hacer una limpieza, no sé si esto caiga en tu cancha, pero a hacer una limpieza a lo largo del río. ¿Eso es algo que seguirá ocurriendo, estas limpiezas ocasionales?
Pues la limpieza que se tuvo fue una limpieza que se organizó a través de la federación. Fue una limpieza en el Arroyo Seco, donde también hubo participación de gobierno del estado, de muchas asociaciones, de muchas empresas privadas que también están preocupadas si quieren poner su granito de arena. Creo que algo muy bonito que pasó durante esta jornada de limpieza fue el poder ver a los ciudadanos, a todos los que nos interesa juntos, tratando de tener mejores espacios y recuperar nuestros ríos urbanos, ¿no? En que si se van a volver a hacer, yo espero que sí. A mí se me hizo un muy bonito detalle, creo que es algo que nos une como habitantes de la cuenca y pues yo esperaría que el gobierno federal vuelva a organizar otra jornada.
Entonces, sí hubo ciudadanos que participaron, porque esa iba a ser mi pregunta. Yo como ciudadana, si me interesa participar en estos esfuerzos para recuperar el río, ¿cómo puedo participar?
Claro, hubieron estudiantes de universidades, hubieron vecinos de las colonias cercanas del río, hubieron pues mucha participación también de asociaciones civiles interesadas y bueno, por supuesto también los 3 niveles de gobierno y la industria, como ya mencioné. Es un espacio abierto totalmente para todos los que queremos poner nuestro granito de arena y sin duda están abiertas a todo público y a su vez yo creo que nosotros como ciudadanos también podemos poner nuestro granito de arena al informarnos, al aprender acerca del río, acerca de las causas, proponiendo soluciones innovadoras.
Claro.
Creo que es importante, ya que es una política pública de largo plazo, pues que todo mundo tenga esta intención de poder proponer cosas y creo que eso puede fortalecer la política pública a través del tiempo, sin duda.
Pues muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo. Ella fue Alejandra Ayo, subdirectora de Programas Ambientales y Atención a Organismos de Derechos Humanos. No se despeguen porque seguimos con mucho más en Hábitat Territorio en Evolución.